and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live night on Saturday night, Politi-tics night. How are you doing? I'm your host, Jake Johnson. Tonight we're going to talk about politics and stuff and junk and such. Come on in, take your shoes off, and let's argue about something. That's what we're here to do. It's fantastic. Amy is first in chat. She says, good evening. Hey, y'all. Hi, Amy. You get the gold star tonight. You're first in chat. Nice job. Amanda says, Amy, here's your gold star. And how's your head tonight? And hello. Nice to see you. How is your head? Mine is sympathetically ringing in your honor. I have a pounding headache tonight, and I've been for a while. It's good, though. Makes me know I'm still alive. Amanda says, hello, Untethered Live family. Good to see y'all. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone is doing good. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Fantastic. Can't complain. Got a nice hot cup of coffee. Had a nice dinner and a nice dessert afterwards, which I don't normally do. Cannot complain about that. Amy says, hi, Amanda. My head is still attached. That's a good thing. If it weren't, you probably wouldn't be answering that question. Amanda says, well, that's a good sign. Sign you're still alive. Amy says, I liked, shared, and invited some friends. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you. What did everyone have for dinner today, says Amy, asks Amy, and she says, I made sausage, eggs, and cheese biscuits with pepper jack cheese. They're delicious. I love sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits with pepper jack cheese. I had spaghetti and Oreo pie. It was an odd combination, but it was delicious. Spaghetti's always nice, though, this time of year. Spaghetti is one of those dinners, it's one of the few dinners that is better the second time if you eat leftovers, because it absorbs all of the flavors from the refrigerator, and for some reason that makes spaghetti better, or any tomato-based thing, lasagna, spaghetti, whatever. Amanda says, we had leftover spaghetti, and I saw the pictures of your dinner. It looked yummy. Nice. I did too. Amy says, I like spaghetti. Me too. Amanda says, yep, it's always better as leftovers. Jake loves it too. See, I told you. Always better. If you make spaghetti, if you really want it to be good, don't eat it tonight. Put it in the refrigerator and eat it for dinner tomorrow night, and it'll be better. I don't know why anybody doesn't do that. Everybody. That seems like a good idea. Everybody's been saying all my life spaghetti's better the second time. Well, why not eat it the second time? Eat it first the second time. Have it for leftovers up front. Seems like a winner to me. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Amy says, I put just a pinch of sugar in the spaghetti sauce. It helps even out the acidity of the tomatoes. Right on. I'll be back in a few minutes, says Amy. Well, I'll be here in your stead. Amanda says, yep. Hang on. Where'd it go? Oh. Amanda says, yep, I put butter in mine too. Makes it so delicious. Amy says, I've been watching the Karen Reed show trial, and I think she's innocent. I don't know who Karen Reed is, but her name is Karen, so that's a mark against her right off the bat. Amanda says, I haven't watched any of it. What is Karen Reed? What does she do? What is she accused of? And who's accusing her of it? Who's the injured party? Patty Donahue's here. She says, what's going on? Hey, Patty. Nice to see you. I'm going on. It's me. I'm happening right now. Amanda says, hi, Patty. And Amy says, hi, Patty. And oh, yeah, Amy, I made Oreo pie too, says Amanda. It's good. It was more like parfait or mousse, its texture to me. But she said it was a pie, so I believe her. Patty says, Miss Amanda, hi. Miss Amy Elizabeth, hi. And message retracted. Do you get counted? Does the new ranking system count if you retract the message? That's a good question. Amy says, Aaron will be here later. He's got a migraine. Oh, no. Sorry to hear that. Headaches seem to be going around. I've had one all day myself. It's not a migraine, but, behind the eyes, sinus pressure kind of thing. Well, I'm glad he'll be here later. I just spoke to him this afternoon. He didn't say anything to me, though. Weird. Amanda says, it was a no-bake pie. So not a pie. And Amanda says, oh, poor Aaron. Well, sometimes you can... Sometimes when you have a head like this, it's going to bother you. It bothers other people, so it might as well bother us. Amanda says, y'all can keep your headaches. You can keep your headaches. I'll take mine any day of the week. I can suffer through mine. She's accused of hitting a police officer, Karen Reed is. Her boyfriend with her car, but the damage to her car and the autopsy evidence doesn't support it. Okay. I don't know anything about that case. Did the boyfriend or the police officer survive? And if so, are they accusing her of it directly? That's one of the videos that you sent me to overlook. We're going to talk about a little bit tonight. And my answer to that, my response to that video is the same as this. Context matters. And we'll talk about it. Amanda says, it was absolutely a pie. It had an Oreo crust and a filling and a topper. Is that what makes a pie? Aaron's here. He says, boom, I kicked the door open. Pow. Enter Aaron. What's up, buddy? Patty says, does the new YouTube rule mean that I won't get to play anymore? I don't know what the new YouTube rule is. And what are you playing? Of course you can play. Here you can play. I don't know what are you playing to start with. Second of all, what's the new YouTube rule? I haven't heard anything about it. Amanda says, hi, Aaron. How's your head? Yeah, how is your head, buddy? Are you doing all right? I've had a headache all day today myself, but it wasn't a migraine. It's just a headache. Sinuses. Amy says, she's accused of murder. Okay, so they didn't survive. That's terrible. Well, I hope the evidence bears out the truth. Aaron says, it hurts, but I own it. Right on, buddy. Tough. Strong. You can take it. Amy says, hi, Aaron, heart. And Debbie says, 2 crusts are a pie. 1 crust is a tort. Thank you. I did not know that. Tort. I'm trying to think if that's a play on words or a legitimate fact. I just woke up. My brain isn't on yet. Aaron says, Amanda says, Aaron, enter stage left. You exit stage left. You enter stage right. I understand you non-stage people wouldn't know that, but that's why the joke is exit stage left. You wouldn't know that either unless you're old. Heavens to Murgatroids. What is he talking about? Cartoon cat. Never mind. Amanda says, hi, Debbie. Amy says, hi, Debbie. Aaron says, hi, Amy. Uh-oh. I hate it when that happens. Right in the middle of reading something, it just gone. I need some biscuits. That's what he was saying. Hi, Amy, I need some biscuits. Don't we all? Biscuits will make you grow up tall and strong and put hair on your chest and, be able to open pickle jars and such. Always, my uncle, when I was a little boy, he had a big old belly on him. You know, the kind of belly where the belly button just sinks down in the middle. Big old belly. And he'd lay back in his recliner and he just looked like a big belly. And he used to tell me, them biscuits right there. You got to eat your biscuits. You'd be like Uncle Jimmy. Or whatever his name was. I think it was Jimmy. I've remembered that all my life. And you just reminded me of it. Rando says, whose head? Your head. What's up, Rando? Welcome to the show. Come on in. Take your shoes off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And why are you asking about heads? Because I said my head hurt? In that case, it would be my head. It's a good head. Now I'm uncomfortable. Debbie says, howdy, y'all. Hey, Debbie. Happy Saturday. Amy says, hi, Rando. Welcome. And Patty says, the new rules about commenting. I haven't heard. Can you tell me what they are? Rando says, hello. I like your name, Rando. Amanda says, well, it had crushed Oreo topper too, Debbie. So it was in between, LOL. I see what you're saying, but egg custard pie doesn't have two crusts, and it's a pie. And neither does pecan pie, unless you put pecans on top. Sometimes they do that, so that one would have two crusts. But egg custard pie definitely doesn't have a top. Aaron says, my head, Rando. Oh, Aaron's head hurts. Maybe that's the thing you were asking about. Amanda says, hi, Rando, welcome. And Rando says, what's the live stream about? I like the facial hair. Thank you. I am lazy and don't shave. The topic of tonight, this is a political show. Tonight is. We have many different types of shows on this channel. So we have Bible study on Sunday and Monday. We have chill streams on Wednesday and Friday. And Saturday, we have a politically leaning show. Now, what that means is that we're going to argue. And it's going to get uncomfortable at sometimes. But we've all agreed to be adults and share our opinions and walk away as friends. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But that's the goal, is to have discourse about things that we disagree about. That being said, you can talk about anything you want because this show is designed to be about you. So whatever you bring to the table, I'm going to reflect it and talk about it. So who are you? What are you into? And what do you want to talk about? It's a good question, though. Amy Elizabeth says, pizza pie is a pizza tort, ? Maybe, I don't know what a tort is. That's the first time I've ever heard that word, so. I know what a retort is, and I know what a torta is, and I know what a tortoise is, but I don't know what a tort is. Rando says, hello, smiley face. Patty says, hey, I do not know what I'm talking about, buddy. I don't either. That's okay. You're in good company. Rex DJ something in another language. Hello. You have to speak English here, buddy. I don't read scribble. Amy Elizabeth says, we just talk about random stuff, Rando. Rando randomness. Right on. Debbie says, a legit fact, a tort is one bottom crust. I did not know that. A Rec SDJ says, something scribbly. You have to talk English. We don't understand that language. Rando says, Coolio. The rapper? Coolio? Cool. If I can ever get my chat in the right place. Amanda says, no, Patty, it's just an incentive thing to get people to super chat. Are you talking about the new rule, the thing that's showing up on the chat? I think those are two different things she's talking about. I haven't heard her say anything about the chat incentive. Amy says, hi, squiggly line guy. Do you want to be known as the squiggly line guy? If not, say something in English. Patty says, blah. Amanda says, hi, squiggly line, welcome. Right on. Rich S says, hello, guys, in phonetic symbology. Hello, Rich, nice to see you, buddy. Xavier's back. He says, you got 5 rupees. I do? I do not. That was a question. Do you have 5 rupees? You don't start a question with a preface. You don't say, you got, and then ask a question, because that's a statement. You got. You have to say, do you got? That way it's a question. And no, I do not. I got $5, but I don't have 5 rupees. And I don't think those two conflate. And welcome, Xavier. Amy says, hi, Rich. Amanda says, hi, Rich. Amy says, hi, Xavier. And Xavier says, hi. And Amanda says, hi, Xavier, welcome. And Debbie says, I just watched an episode of Yellowstone where a protester got 15 years for hitting a cop. That should happen in real life, too. It should, but it won't, because they're politicized, and they're told by their governors, who are left-leaning libtards, to stand down when the riots start. So cops aren't allowed to do their jobs, which is a part of the thing we're going to talk about tonight, because Trump just wrote an executive order or two that helps cops do their job. And there's a cop that has kind of been known of taking advantage of that, doing things like seizing people's personal money. Excuse me. Seizing people's personal money without cause, pulling people over in speed traps and then taking their money from them. That guy's an asshole. And he was in the room when Trump signed the executive order, which brought questions. Is Trump making a mistake? Is he supporting this guy? Well, my initial response to that would be, does Trump know this guy's doing that? Because chances are he doesn't even know what his name is. It's just a political scene with people from different parts of the world come to the White House and stand there while Trump signs stuff. He's probably never met them in person. And if he does know, then yes, it's a mistake. If he doesn't know, then Trump is absolutely trying to do something good for the police and their ability to do their jobs. And yes, there's going to be some assholes out there that take advantage of that and do the wrong thing. Wrong is wrong, regardless of however it is. But executive orders should not ever break the Constitution. Constitution is paramount. And this administration and the people like him are constitutional people. They believe in the Constitution. They're not going to write things that are anti-Constitution. So, just because somebody does something does not mean that it's right. And it also doesn't mean that it's wrong. Trump could write a thing to help people do their jobs by lowering their accountability for doing things like shooting people. Because you got to make quick decisions when you're a cop. Sometimes people get shot. That does not mean that some people aren't just going to shoot people willy-nilly. Yes, they will. And you got to be able to parse that out. And that's what the court system's for. And that's what the preponderance of evidence is for. That executive order should not let them get out of jail free for doing something wrong. That make sense? Okay. Aaron says, Xavier was here before, I think. Yes, I said welcome back. Rich S says, who is Amy Elizabeth squaring off with tonight? We haven't decided. We're just talking. I think she won the last event, but, you know. You want a second go at it? Amy says, Debbie, that's not a protester if they hit a cop. True. Yeah, that's a violent extremist. Debbie says, custards are a tort, and it's a pecan tort. Just because everybody calls it a pie, it does not make it so. Well, I agree with you there. I don't know anything about the hierarchy of pies and the importance of their stand in American culture. But I would say that if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Amy Elizabeth says, I'm not squatting off I'm not squatting off with anyone tonight. Squaring off. It would be interesting to see the other thing, though. And Amanda says, maybe you, Rich. Did you eat your Wheaties? Well, he didn't last time, and he got his ass handed to him. So this time, maybe he's put in the work. I apologize for my voice, though. I'm mid laryngitis, and I'm trying my best to keep going. And I don't let up. I have 5 days a week doing this for 2 hours a night, so it's amazing I'm still squeaking. Prophet Mo says, talk American, commies. Hey, Prophet Mo, sit on this and spin. Is that American enough for you? Amy says, Amanda, I eat life cereal, so when I die, people can say she was full of life. So full of life. Nice. Amanda says, LOL, right, Amy? And hi, Prophet, welcome. Did I miss somebody coming in? I did. Never mind. I replied to that person. Yep. Chat's jumping around like crazy, so give me a minute and I'll catch up. Aaron says, Scribble, I back too. Scribble, I back too. Right on, Aaron. Scribble is back too. The scribbly line person, I think that was a different scribbly line, but we're calling them the same thing because we don't speak that language. Rich S says, I'm eating dates with peanut butter and sea salt and drinking a giant sweet tea with lime. I ran out of lemons. So you're from the north. That's what you're telling me. And Debbie says, sorry, Jake, it is a tart. Tart. Took me hearing you say it to realize I spelled it wrong. Got it. Tart, not tort. Okay, makes sense. That's a word I do know. Prophet Mo says, hi, Amanda. Wavy hands. And Amanda says, come on, Rich. Fruit don't go in tea. LOL. Yeah, lemons and teas are two different trees, Rich. Patty says, my favorite Chrisley family are free at last. My favorite Chrisley family are free at last. Chrisley, maybe Chrisley. My favorite Chrisley family are free at last. Cool. I don't know what you're talking about. Rich S says, there is also a such thing as a tort. It's a French word for a cake with filled layers. How about that? Maybe you said it right, and I'm wrong. I always thought it was a pecan pie. But then there's people out there that go, no, Jake, it's pecan. No, it's not. I don't open a con of peas. I open a can of peas. Pecan. Pecan. Christopher Hines says, please pray for my friend Tamara. After Trump was elected, she went off the deep end and left the church. Her relationship with God is non-existent. Well, Christopher, welcome to the show. I apologize for that happening to your friend. That unfortunately, a lot of people in our country have succumbed to a mind virus. A lot of them have been inducted against their will into a cult. Why against their will? Because they didn't know that they were being lied to. And if they did know, they would have ran from it. But since they thought it was the truth, they went with it. And now they're in deep. Unfortunately, the left made it their business to go all out to take out the opposition because they had no other argument. They could not stand up anymore and speak truth and fight against the opposition. So the only option they had was to go scorched earth, and they did. And in doing so, they started lying to people. Well, you'll be happy to know that in the media this week, there's been a whole lot of Democrat backpedaling going on because they can no longer tell lies to people to their face. People are wising up. Things are just happening. Trump is being proven right time and time and time and time again. Everything is going up. The numbers are up. Jobs are up. Economy is up. Morale is up. People are wanting to be friends with us again. People are respecting us across the country. People are signing up for the military once again. They can no longer stand there and lie to your face because the evidence is against them. So now they're taking up, and write it down that I said so. They haven't said this yet, but I fully expect it to come any day now. They are going to join Trump and start supporting him. Why? Because it's the only way they can keep power. Because if they're on the opposite side, they're going to lose. So the only way to be is, if you can't beat them, join them. And they're going to do that so that they can remain in some position of power somewhere, like the media people. Because if they stay in their current trajectory, everyone is going to know that they're full of shit and they're lying to you. And they will eventually get fired and swept under the rug because they're filthy liars. So write it down that I said so. The Democrats will soon join MAGA movement. How do I know this is coming? California just released a MAGA blue hat that says "Make California Great Again" from the Democrats. They're looking for their own Joe Rogan, which is funny because they had Joe Rogan and they pushed him away. They're basically trying to mimic what the right is doing that is successful, only they're missing the point. The reason the right's being successful is because they're not lying to everybody, and people can see it. But we do pray for your friend, and hopefully she'll find her way back to God and the truth. And you stay with your head focused on God. Don't let anybody, right or left, tell you how to go. If it don't square with the Bible, you get away from it. Debbie says, dictionary defines a tart as an open pie shell with a filling, usually of something sweet such as fruit. Right on. I'm Southern. It's a pie. Unless it's a cake, and then it's not a pie. How do I know that? I don't know. A cake, you eat with a fork, but you eat a pie with a fork too. I don't know why. I don't know what makes a cake or a pie, but I know that these are cakes and those are pies. Amy says, praying for your friend Tamara. And Amanda says, welcome, Chris. Hi. Prophet Mo says, can 100 people win against an orangutan? Yeah. One person can win against an orangutan. Do you know we used to hunt buffalo with sticks? You ever seen a cave painting or, a bow and arrow? Aaron says, not the topic, Prophet. Amy says, Prophet, more. Right turn, Clyde. Right on. 187 says something that you should not say. Christopher Hines says, it seems like the former administration thought the Constitution was just a suggestion. It does seem that way, doesn't it? Yeah, they did a lot of stuff they shouldn't have done. And it's all coming out now. Possibly in part due to Cash Patel and Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino and the like. Also, they could be lying to you too. I don't know. I stand neutral in this world. I support Trump because I like what he's told me. It remains to be seen whether or not he can do the stuff he said. We'll see. The boy says pow wow or pow pow pow. No, the boy. No. Welcome to the show. Amy says, I agree, Christopher. $187. Yes, I know what that means. Do you want to stay here? If so, join the conversation and quit being a moron. Amy says, welcome to the new folks. Yes, welcome to those who want to carry on an actual conversation with another human being and not be a retard. Yes, I used the word retard. Sue me. I know what it means. Amanda says, hi, new people. Join the conversation. Don't come in here with the dumb remarks. Right. And Prophet Mo says, right turn, Clyde. I forgot about that. Right on. That's a good movie. Linda Davis says, hi, all. Hey, Linda. How are you, sweet lady? Amy says, hi, Linda. Amanda says, hi, Linda. Hun, heart. Amy says, pi equals 3.14. 279,563,772. Pi. Right on. Since we're talking about pi, Debbie says, unless that duck has one crust, then it's a tart duck. The duck that walks like a duck and looks like a duck. Right. Rustic Bartholomew says, Tennessee. Hello, Rustic. Welcome in. Aaron says, what's a slice of pie, Amy? 2.7. Big slice, but it's a slice. Rich S says, Private Mo 100 at once or one by one. An orangutan is 7 times stronger than a human, so I'm not getting in line. Well, humans have a thing that orangutans don't have, and that's an imagination and the ability to parse out the future as it hasn't happened yet, to think about, to project, to plan, to run simulations in their mind. So you can outsmart an orangutan pretty easily. So that song, Bye Bye Miss American Tort, drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was short. Singing good old boys, drinking whiskey and port, singing that'll be the day that I die. Doesn't work. La-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. Boy, it went fast. Here we go. Amanda says, hi, Rustic. Welcome. And Prophet says, if you have COVID, don't take the vaccine. I won't, because I'm not a moron. And I'm vaccine free. Thank you. Thank you, Prophet. And that is true, because they have now come out and backpedaled on that too. Now they're saying that 74% of the people that died from it. That's on YouTube. I didn't make that up. Don't get on to me, YouTube. I didn't come up with that, and you put it on your platform. So I'm going to repeat it. And that was one of the people that was involved. Natalie Hopkins says, Natalie. Hello, Natalie. Patty says, I think you lose your voice because you use your voice a lot, Jake. True. Well, it's weak because of mold and because of long COVID and because of heavy smoking and because of excessive use, because I'm a singer and a talker and I'm always doing that. So, yeah, but it is definitely weak and congested. But it will always be that way. It'll come back eventually. It's pretty nasty this year, though. Christopher Hines says, Colorado here. Right on, Colorado. Amanda says, hi, Natalie. Welcome. And Amanda says, he would never take that jab, Prophet. Never. Nope. The minute they came out with it, I was like, no way. Not a chance in hell. I'm not doing anything the government says I have to do. Nope. Christopher Hines says, diabetes starter kit. Amy says, Rich said he's eating dates. Dahmer did the same thing. Well, I thought that when I read that, but I didn't say it. I should have said it. Good one, Amy. Rich S says, I'm from Michigan today. Right on. I'm from Georgia every day. Linda says, where are you from originally, Rich? Debbie says, explain peach tea then, Amanda. Peach tea. Self-explanatory. Somebody took two beverages and mixed them together. That's called, I forget what it's called. You mix two things together. Peach doesn't come in tea. So somebody took peach juice and poured it in tea. That's peach tea. I would like to see the peach tea tree.